of the Journal on Circular Economy, published by International Council for Circular Economy. And we are so happy to have you all with us for this launch of the latest edition of this journal on circular economy. And it's always inspiring to see how this journal is growing with each edition, and not just in reach, but also in relevance. And every quarter, we curate this magazine with a lot of heart and thought. It brings together the latest trends, research, and viewpoints from across the world of circular economy. And what makes us really proud is that we're able to bring together such a diverse group of voices, from academicians, industry professionals, and researchers to students who are just starting out in this space. In every edition, we do include a student's article as well. And it's truly a reflection of how collaborative and inclusive the circular economy movement is becoming. While we are hoping to have Rupa Mishra ma'am today, but Joint Secretary at the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs to join us, but she unfortunately couldn't make it due to some other commitments. But we are deeply thankful for her valuable contribution to the journal. Her interview with Ms. Shalini Goyal Bhalla, our Managing Director at ICCE, beautifully highlights the ministry's efforts and commitment towards shaping sustainable urban development in India. It's a must read for anyone who's interested in policy-driven change in the circular space. Now we are to release the journal on circular economy, January to March 2025 edition. I will request my colleague Princey to please share the screen, and we will open the front cover of the journal. And I would request all to please turn on their cameras so that we can click a picture together. And in the meantime, we will be sharing the link in the chat box so that you all can see it together. Yeah, Princey, can you please share this screen? Yeah. Okay, great. So this is the front cover of our journal. And thanks, Princey. And in the chat box, the link is there. You all can see. You can, this is the link as of now. We'll soon be putting this on our web page, and then the web page link will be provided to everyone to reach this journal. You can go through, there are so many articles, case studies. So this is the release that we have done. I hope, Prince, you have clicked our picture. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Clap for the release. Thank you. Okay. Now I will be inviting our first author who has, she has requested to, because she has to catch a flight, and that's why we would want Sapna ma'am to join us first. And I'll give you a little background about her work. According to UNEP, Food Waste Index Report 2024, 1/5 of food that is produced for human consumption is lost or wasted globally. This amounts to 1 billion meals a day that are getting lost when a big chunk of humans remain malnourished. So the total cost of food loss and waste for the global economy is roughly estimated around $1 trillion US. So we have this article in the journal that talks about the solutions through circular approaches to food loss management. This article is written by Professor Sapna Narula, Director at CCS National Institute of Agricultural Marketing, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Government of India. And this article is co-authored by Dr. Sonali Katoch. She's the research officer at the same institute. Thanks a lot for your contribution, Dr. Sonali and Professor Sapna. I now invite Dr. Narula for her remarks, please. Ma'am,
Thank you,
over to
Surabhi.
you.
Thank you, Surabhi. When you first contacted me, I was so glad to know that there is an International Council for Circular Economy as well. So, having taught the subject at the university level for last 15 years, and you know that before 15 years, I mean, people would never understand what circular economy is all about in India. So it was difficult time convincing people about circular business models and others, because we are traditionally make use dispose model, and most of our SMEs or even big companies are engaged in this way only. But after having traveled this journey, and now we can say that Indian organizations, the companies are also doing a lot of work on circular economy. And and from my research, which we have done in various cases, especially textile, oil and gas, and even food supply chain, we have found that companies are actually doing a lot when it comes to oil and gas companies or textile companies, how they process waste, etc. So there is a lot of awareness amongst the companies. Let me now first congratulate you also for the journal release, and all your team members for the same. And now I go ahead with the case of food loss and waste, about which I have authored an article along with my colleague, Dr. Sonali Katoch. I'm also acknowledging her contribution for the same. She's here present in the online meeting. So you've already given some data about how we how food loss and waste is happening. In fact, for last 20 years, I've been hearing that 30 to 40% of our food is wasted. In developing countries, there are different reasons for this food loss and waste. In developed countries, there are different reasons. When we talk about India and other, emerging or developing countries, lack of proper storage infrastructure, lack of awareness amongst the farmers, and our supply chains are, not so well developed. So most of the food loss happens at the production, post-harvest, and processing level. Whereas when we talk about the case of developed countries, in the developed countries, actually, this waste is happening at the consumer level. Their supply chains are well developed. When we go to Europe or other areas, so the causes are different, but still the food loss and waste is happening. And 1/3 of our food is wasted. It varies from supply chain to supply chain. For example, it is more in the case of fresh fruits and vegetables, and more in the case of fresh fruits and vegetables, and also where infrastructure is missing, or price mechanisms are different, and farmers are not able to sell their produce. But at every end of the supply chain, value chain, some food loss or waste is happening. Sometimes, if we take the example of apple supply chain, and when we pluck the apple, if the farmers are not fully trained, the apple will be rotten or smelly, right? Transport and logistics play an important role, because apple travels from Kashmir to Delhi market, and you would see that a lot of trucks in the traffic and others. So due to inefficiencies in the logistics and supply chain, also this food loss is happening. So when we talk about the circular economy is not only about minimizing the waste, but it is also about at the very first point, the prevention of food waste or loss, right? So it talks about the resource efficiency. So in our article, we have clearly identified the sources and how we can prevent the food loss. So when we talk about food waste prevention, I think a better inventory management system can do a lot of good to the supply chains and minimize the waste. Many times it has been seen that in food supply chain, the governance issues are there. There is no proper alignment of the production plan with the demand. So as a result of which, the food does not get sold, right? So alignment of these production plans with the demand and supply scenario can lead to waste prevention across the supply chain. Then education of consumers is very important issue. As we become more prosperous, there is I see more food is wasted at our home. We are 28 people now here in this online meeting, and I can tell you that if you imagine by closing your eyes, every household has some waste left in their kitchen or others. So consumer education plays an important role, and we are not in the habit of meal planning. So if we plan our meals properly, in India, especially, we live in joint families. In middle class families, there are more than 4 to 5 members. So that food tends to get wasted in that effort as well. So if we do proper meal planning, just like different hotels or restaurants do, I think that is also this is where also we can prevent the food wastage. Events, marriage events, where the prosperity has led to hundreds of dishes in a particular marriage event or a birthday event or any other event. So that also has led to food wastage. So there are multiple sources of food waste, reasons for food waste, and we can actually convert this food waste into various valorized products. Especially issue. So stubble burning, like we are not converting stubble into a valorized product or energy or something like that. So at the farmer level, if we educate the farmer how he can make biofertilizer or composting, he or she can do, or they can convert the waste into animal feed. That will lead to reduction of food wastage. There are other strategies also. For example, we can convert this into biogas. Okay, so biofuels is an important area through which we can convert the food waste. So when it comes to agri waste, we can convert agri waste into different products through circular business models. For example, through thermochemicals, we can convert it into bio oil or heat, and then biochemical we can convert it into biofertilizers, animal feed, bioethanol. I am in touch with some big oil and gas companies who are doing a lot of bioethanol work, and since this is a source of renewable energy, it will lead to a reduction of GHG emissions. When I talk about GHG emissions, if you go at the mandi level, agricultural mandi level, lot of food waste. Those who live in Delhi, they may go to Azadpur or Ghazipur mandi, and they will find that food is rotten, it is wasted, and methane is emitted. So this is one of the big source of besides the livestock industry, this is the big source of methane emissions. So there are not only economic implications, but there are also environmental and social implications of this. So I think recycling is a good idea, but when we implement these projects, we cannot do it alone. I will cite the example of Indore. So Indore, the cleanest city of India, they have adopted this, circular economy model, and how they collect the household waste and they convert the food waste and food kitchen waste into various energy with the help of Mahindra Energy Solutions. So, all the stakeholders need to play an important role in this. So it's not only at the effort of the citizens. Citizens need to be trained or made aware about how they segregate the waste. And government, Indian government has adopted so many policies for for encouraging these circular business models. And farmers, they also need to be trained or educated how they can convert their agri waste into animal feed and other valorized products, right? And if we are talking about big models, we know about the case of Gyanesh Pandey in Bihar, who is also making energy out of waste, right? So this is also and a lot of funding has happened there in this model as well. So we can convert this waste into energy, and this energy can be used as a fuel. So there are a lot of efforts needed, but all stakeholders need to come together. For example, technology. It may come from only corporates, and the type and the choice of technology, anaerobic digestion or aerobic digestion, whatever we are choosing. And second is the cooperation of the municipalities, the agricultural mandis. That agricultural markets and infrastructure is a very complex job in India. So how we can collaborate at the level of mandi parishad in order to collect this waste, segregate this waste, and convert it into energy. Four things are important, and I'll end my talk here. Technology, infrastructure, finance. Who is going to finance? Not government cannot fund, all these initiatives. Corporates must also, come here. And capacity building, how we train the various stakeholders and how we encourage them to do that. So there must be some incentivization, not in the form of finances, but the moral incentives we may provide. For example, Indore, they post stickers on the outside the household which has collected kitchen waste. So we might think about these circular business models so that even if we are able to convert 20 to 30% of our waste into these valorized products, this will be good, and this will lead to ensuring food security amongst the undernourished across the world. Thank you. And Sonali, if you want to say anything, with the permission of Surabhi, Dr. Sonali
Sure,
Katoch.
please, Sonali.
Hello. No, my ma'am, I'm fine. Pretty much covered everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sapna, Professor Sapna, for your contribution and definitely your insights on food waste management and food security. Definitely the solutions that you have provided at the grassroots level. Commitment, communication and understanding of these circular models is quite important, and community engagement is definitely one aspect that definitely shows results in such when you are trying to implement such solutions. So thanks a lot for your contribution, Professor Sapna. Now we will be moving on to our next author, the next piece of work that we have included. We have included an interesting case study this time in our journal. This is about an organization, Climate Kick, that has been working with their partners, Second News and Growth Africa, on the upstream innovation clusters in Bangalore and Nairobi. They have been doing some wonderful work in Global South, and their case study talks about unlocking economic and health gains through upstream innovation in Bengaluru. The author is Mr. B.R.K. Kobosh. He is the lead Circular Economy Innovation Cluster Bengaluru at Climate Kick. But due to some unavoidable reasons, he could not be present here today. So, however, we are very happy to have Emily Aman, Director of Entrepreneurship, joining us to take us through their work. So, Emily, over to you. Thank you. Please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to be here with you and to exchange our experience, our case study, and also to learn from all your interesting input. It's very exciting, and I really liked the first part already, talking so much about the need to not think about waste as the first source, but really to prevent it. And that's the same line we are focusing and that we want to share. I prepared a few slides together with my colleague. He is also part of our team, Henriette, David, and Carla from Climate Kick, and also our partners that were mentioned, our great colleagues, local partners, Titus and Manisha from Second Muse. So I'm not alone here. I will share a few slides and hopefully I can bring you a bit closer to, what's happening in Bengaluru, in your country. I'm based in Spain, in Europe, personally, as Climate Kick, but we are working very closely together with local partners. So that's why we're working in Bengaluru as well. Let me share my screen and please confirm that you can see my slides correctly. Takes a few moments maybe to load.
Yeah, we can see the slide.
Okay, can you see the right presentation mode?
No, it is still in the slide mode.
Okay, now?
Still in the PowerPoint. Yeah, now we can see it.
Now it's perfect.
Okay, great. Thanks for confirming. So yeah, our case study, and thanks again to the ICC to let us be part of this journal, this edition. We wanted to share almost 3 years of experience on work, what we've been experimenting in Bengaluru around what we call circular economy innovation clusters work, and why we need to shift from this current waste management system we see to more upstream, to more innovation that ideally eliminates waste at the source. So in general, what we see, and what I will talk a bit more about Climate Kick, is that we want to tackle climate change. Climate change is one of the pressing problems, challenges for humanity, for all of us, independently in which country, in which continent we are. It affects all of us, of course, in different ways, but we need to find solutions together. And foremost, collaborative solutions, and circular economy is a lot about collaboration, because we cannot focus, or no single entity can achieve alone what is required to be really able to solve climate change. So we need businesses, we need startups, we need the academia, we need citizens and governments, but ideally to create this action collaboratively and to have in mind that we need solutions from every corner, from every industry and from every actor, but ideally orchestrated and in a way that we can amplify the impact. That's where our origin comes from. So if you wonder what is Climate Kick and this weird name, what does it mean? Climate Kick stands for Knowledge Innovation Community. And we were founded 15 years ago by the European Commission as a political part of innovation is important. We want to focus on tackling climate change. And we need an entity that leads this innovation work. That's where we come from. Here you see some of our track record and numbers of our experience. So we're based in Europe. Our team, we are over 200 colleagues, but we work across the world in more than 60 countries, in Latin America, in African countries, in Asia. We have supported over 6,000 startups in our programs, from incubation, acceleration, from access to finance, to develop climate solutions. And we measure the impact of these solutions, which is very, very important to us, that we ensure we don't have time to lose. We cannot afford to support innovations that don't have a validated, measured climate impact that is positive. So we avoid emissions. And also we create new jobs through these innovations. We do this by systems innovation. So we focus on the whole ecosystem and where innovation takes place, which we need to focus on country level, but the regions, the cities as big important players, and of course, businesses that can drive innovation. this for our intro and who we are. Of course, you're welcome to explore our website to get to know about these different areas of work. But I bring you back now to Bengaluru, and where we want to talk a bit more in our case study and what you can read in this journal. So Bengaluru is a big city, 14 million, maybe in Indian context, for you it's not so big, but talking from this perspective, it's of course not a small area. And the cities, not only Bengaluru, we've seen this in other cities as well, face this challenge that urbanization is taking over. People are moving from land regions more to cities. So we have more people living, and more people means at this stage, okay, we face a waste challenge. We see waste as one of the problems in the cities. We've been working parallel in Bangalore and Nairobi. And what does it mean? So we wanted to understand in our first year of the program and first months through a baseline, which type of waste do we find? Who is dealing with waste? What's the role of informal workers? What is the public sector doing? Who is already innovating? Really understanding the ecosystem. That's a big first step. So we find numbers and information in our baselines that it's also publicly available, but also in our case study. And we found out that, yeah, informal waste workers make up the majority of the Bengaluru's waste management force, but they remain unrecognized and they lack often the necessary skills, the necessary protection, the necessary integration, and also, yeah, how they can have better conditions. There are over 15,000 waste workers in Bengaluru, for example. We see that the government is taking steps, is establishing a center of excellence, is working on it. But there's still a big crisis, and this is a threat to public health, the dump sites, the landfills, waste that is simply burned, waste that is not treated, it's not managed. So going into this ecosystem, understanding first, doing a baseline, really interacting with stakeholders, having forums, meetings to really get started, brought us to develop our innovation cluster model. When we talk here about what is an innovation cluster, is going at the center the need to collaborate, to get to innovations that tackle climate change, and in this specific case, the waste problematic, but also together to be able to learn and experiment and adapt, because it's not that we have the recipe and all the solutions, it has to come from all the players in the ecosystem. We have, of course, like parts of the ingredients to what can be a good way forward in a model that we have been implementing and testing. And that's where we want to connect. We use this metaphor of the banyan tree that you might know that is present in Bengaluru, the city, the garden city, because we need really in the innovation cluster to work in interconnected networks. So again, we've been doing this for the third year now, funded by IKEA Foundation and implemented with Second Muse, but thriving and looking at the whole ecosystem. And what you find in the case study is how we started going from this baseline to understanding the ecosystem to apply different elements from the roots that we need to have a base and a solid understanding of circular thinking and systems change, and this cross-sector collaboration. Mindset shifts, because coming back, circular economy is much more than recycling and waste management. So if we really want to tackle the causes, the root problems, and not just the symptoms that we see waste is out there, yes, recycling is important. Yes, it has to be done, waste management, waste regulation. But what if we focus also on the waste prevention and waste elimination, and to design out waste and support first startups and new companies into that space? We trained through our own accelerator. We have been in contact with other entrepreneurship support organizations to collaborate and build accelerators, incubators that include this element, so that we don't end up only with waste management and recycling. So we tackle this educational part, but we see it's not enough. What if these entrepreneurs, they face still barriers because the policies are maybe still in a linear way? They don't acknowledge the role of design, of designing out waste, of the eco-design, we have extended producer responsibilities, right? In Bengaluru, in many cities, they're being applied, but it's also needed to integrate this upstream innovation part. So we reach out to the public sector, we make these connections and exchange. We have startups struggling, we have barriers in the ecosystem. What can policy do? Where is policy going? How can we make this effective? Financial support, it was mentioned as well, right? Who's going to pay for this? Where do we have the investors? Investors see often circular innovations that are quite new as high risk. They have made longer periods of time to be implemented. If you want to change from having a product as a service model, for example, you need much more capital. It's more capital intensive, or this also recycling technologies and so on. So also this education and again, measuring the impact. So we know if we want to scale innovations that have a climate positive impact, the investors will be much more likely to invest in. So here you see in the middle part, this route, we have to connect these dots and to work together. Listen to the waste workers, their needs, their upskill needs, that they also can become part of other value chain parts. So it's not only at the end stage, they can be also part of the entrepreneurs, like through customers, through serving them, but also to supporting them to become entrepreneurs in that space. And this will lead us ideally, okay, to really go to improved health, to improved mobility, economy, and these outcomes that we want to see. Can you see still my slides?
It's black at the moment.
Okay, that's what I was fearing because I'm connected here to the external screen, so it showed me some error, but maybe now.
Still waiting. Okay, I see something. Yes, I see.
Okay. Can you see the slide from the tree still?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. So this is a bit the summary of what the case study is about, how we worked across the different sectors on these different innovation streams, and what are the results that we want to see moving towards more circularity in the upstream part. So designing out waste in Bengaluru, moving these actors to collaborate, to exchange, to build the bridges. And it was also a learning process, like every 6 months, we do a sense making, what we call, to really connect and learn and have feedback from, okay, what is missing, what is needed, how can we go forward, and which collaborations we need. And this presentation today is also an invitation, and you can read it in the case study. So we are looking for collaboration partners. This has been a program for 3 years, but of course in 3 years, it's too little time to really be able to set up a self-sustaining ecosystem and something that drives. So we're setting here the seeds for more banyan trees, for more collaboration, for more integrated networks. Here you see a summary of, okay, what these pieces, these elements can be to drive innovation in a cluster approach. This design phase of mapping, of engaging, of creating a collective vision, and then depending on the needs, work on the capital area, on more capacity, more skills. I think often we think about innovation as the technology needed, the companies need and so on, but it starts with mindsets, with skills, with learning more about circularity and the difference of what is upstream, what is downstream, creating this demand also in the market where policy comes in, where incentives need to be set. Yeah, all these building blocks and parts together. And ideally, of course, not forgetting the social inclusion part and the role of informal waste workers, gender equality also. We support female, male founders, like that we have enough diversity also in our areas. And here's also just a summary map where you can quickly see which organizations have already been part of this journey. We had 7 very interesting startups in this first cohort last year. This year, we're also supporting, making a new call to select companies to get a grant facility and access to finance through a program. We are exchanging with other ESOs to not see each other as competition, but as collaborators, so we can move the needle and really make a difference, how we train, how we support startups better. This connection again to the investors, how we can measure the climate impact, so investors are really also sure and support the scalability of startups, and the policy side. So who has a challenge? How can we make it really connected to the market? Big corporates, we've been in touch in Bengaluru with the international airport, with IKEA as a company as well, and ongoing, and also with the support of ICC with their experience, right? How can we bring the government on board, the centers of excellence, to not focus only on the last part of circular economy, which is recycling, but really tackle it across all the different strategies and opportunities. So again, an invitation for you to collaborate with us. If you read the case study, if you have input, insights, feedback, if you are working on similar topics, or if you are looking to collaborate on building capacities, on moving forward this upstream innovation in the ecosystem, or the circular impact measurement, or also training. If you want to join for implementation, if you have ideas on collaborative fundraising, we would really like to see this grow, to see this work grow in the future, and also to be able to continue on the ecosystem building. You can reach out to me. Here's my email, and also Bjarke, who has been closely working with Second News in Bengaluru, who will be back soon. You can also, of course, reach out to both of us. So thanks for your interest, for listening, and I will stop sharing my screen here.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Emily. I think we have a question from Mamta to you. She wants to know if you have some LCA studies done on landfill destined fabric. She is an upcycler. So if Mamta, Emily, you want to answer right now, or maybe later through email, you guys can get connected. It's up to you, Emily.
Yeah, I can give a short answer now, and happy to continue via email. So about the LCA, we use LCA as a basis in our impact measurement when we support the startups to model like their main product, their main service, their main innovation. We put the data based on the LCA model on what are all the needs in their product steps, and how this is compared to what's out there in the market. So really, if their innovation is better in that sense, is more environmental friendly, less emissions, less use of electricity and so on. So I would need to get back to you and double check if we had one with the textile waste you mentioned. We don't have reports published in that sense openly. It's really connected to the one-on-one with the startups. And of course, it's also up to the startup if they want to share these results. Some of them, they want to publish it in their website and really, of course, use it to communicate. But happy to connect more. And I think also with Titus and Manisha, they've been working a lot on this. We could check and get back to you.
Okay, thank you. So Mamta, I hope you have got your answer. Now, thanks, Emily, and anybody who wants to gets in touch with Climate Kick can definitely write to Emily or BRK. Now let's move on to our next author. This is Ms. Khushbu Maheshwari. She is the senior expert in circular economy, World Wildlife Foundation India. She has written on breaking the waste cycle through promoting decentralized circular solutions. So, Khushbu, now over to you. Please share you can share your work with everyone.
Thanks, Surbhi. And first of all, thank you, Surbhi, and the ICC team for giving me this opportunity to sort of write an article and also to share the learnings. And also, before I start, I would also like to thank my director for again pushing me forward to write this article, Mr. Vishal Dev. So as Surbhi mentioned, I work with the Worldwide Fund for Nature, which is WWF India, and I work as a senior expert in circular economy. And I joined WWF India last year itself. However, I've been in the circular economy space for more than 5 years. And it's great to see this sort of a community that has been created by ICC to put together the work that each one of us is doing in circular economy. And I will start with, of course, about my article. I'll share that. So imagine waking up every morning to the smell of burning plastics, the sight of overflowing dumpsters, and the knowledge that the river running through your city is no longer safe to touch. And that's not a distant dystopia. That's today's reality in many, many Indian cities. We all know that India generates millions of tons of waste each year, and most of it ends up into the landfill and also the water bodies and burnt in the open air. Hence, it is sort of considered a very interesting area to sort of step in for a biodiversity or conservation organization like WWF India. And we are aware of our current system, all know that collect, transport, dump, which we can't simply keep up with. It's linear, centralized, and largely disconnected from the needs of the local communities and ecosystems. And among all the waste streams, plastic is the most persistent and deceptive. It's lightweight, it's cheap, and it's everywhere from packaging and to carry bags itself. Yet, most of it isn't recycled. We have had our innovations in the space that works on recycling, but we do know that only a high value plastic are being recycled. Low value plastics, mostly multi-layer wrappers, often escapes the collection entirely itself. Even when plastics are collected, they're rarely processed ethically or transparently. Our informal waste workers, or so to say, the waste workers, do incredible work under the poor conditions without recognition or protection. So, what's actually missing is a question that we were trying to answer with the work that we're doing. We don't just need waste processing, we need to rethink the entire system. And instead of chasing the bigger landfills or high-tech incinerators, what if we brought waste management back to the community? What if each neighborhood, each apartment block, each industrial area had its own small-scale efficient unit that could process the waste where it's generated? And that's the power of decentralization. So it means less transportation, better sorting at the source, higher recycling rates, and most importantly, the ownership. Ownership by the people, by the business, and by the local governments of their own waste that they have created. So it's not just a theory, it's already working. I would like to share an example that we are currently working in. In South Goa, we have initiated a powerful initiative. The project is called SIAM, which is sustainable. The full form of SIAM is Sustainable Approach to Integrated Waste Management. SIAM, it means nature or surroundings in Konkani, is sort of leading a transformation in how we see waste. Rather than sending all the materials or all the waste to the centralized waste systems in Goa, be it Salika or Karkora, the initiative is set up to create a decentralized material recovery center where the waste is being generated and brought to the facility. We are currently sorting more than 20 plus categories, actually 30 plus categories when it comes to also secondary sorting. And once the material are being sorted and baled, there is a whole process which I'm pretty sure everyone is aware of. We are sending the material to the authorized recyclers while maintaining the traceability in itself. But what makes SIAM more powerful, it's not just the process, it's mostly being followed in most of the MRFs. We are trying to approach the community and the stakeholders, so to say, the panchayats, the bulk waste generators, all together, and also the other MRFs that are operating, because we do understand like a 10 TPD small decentralized MRF cannot handle everything. We are also working with the other MRFs to sort of capitalize them. We are educating and involving, as I mentioned, the panchayats, the businesses, and also protecting the nearby Sal River by preventing the terrestrial waste from entering the waterways. So it's about building the systems that restore ecosystems, dignify the waste workers, and create economic value from something once we considered a burden. The lesson here is what I'm trying to say, that if it can work in one city, it of course can work in multiple cities. The article sort of highlights why we need to scale up the decentralized circular solutions, why there is a need for investments in such small scale waste units, and also supporting the ethical, traceable, and recycling businesses, while enabling, of course, the fair wages and the better working conditions. It's, of course, a collective effort. It's not just any of this decentralized unit to work. More of the government players, the businesses, the citizens must move from being passive participants to now active custodians of their waste. And if we are doing this right way, then we are not just managing our waste. We'll be reclaiming our air, our water, our conservation angle. So I'll like to pause here, and of course, please read the article. If there is any specific information you would require from our end, please feel free to reach out to me. Thanks, Surbhi.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Khushbu. Decentralized circular solutions you talked about, and definitely at the scale where India is right now. So these are quite effective solutions and the need of the hour. Thanks a lot for your contribution, Khushbu. And now we'll be moving on to our next contributor. He is Mr. Matthias Reusing. He is the first counselor policy advisor for agriculture, environment, digital transformation from the delegation of the European Union to the African Union, and whose policy review on the right to repair brings a critical perspective on consumer rights and regulatory support for circularity. So Matthias, over to you.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I guess you can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
I want to give a brief overview. I gave a brief overview in the article on the EU's rights to repair directive, which we consider a key step towards a circular economy. A little bit of background, a political background, also policy background. You know, the EU is, of course, a very, very strong regulator, and we believe we can only have a green, climate neutral, circular transformation of our economy if we regulate also in a sense. But we also see in this current world, we have to cut some red tape because we get also a lot of criticism at home and in the world. So here we are. I think what's very important to note, we have a new European Commission in place, which still sticks to the European Green Deal, which is very important. That's what President von der Leyen mentioned in her political guidelines for 2024 to 29. She says basically, I quote, "We must and will stay in course of the goals set out in the European Green Deal. The climate crisis is accelerating at pace, and there is an equally important need to decarbonize and industrialize our economy at the same time." That was back from December last year. In the meantime, we have a new US administration in place, which shakes up a lot the world. Every day we hear something new about trade tariffs. We as the European Union, we stay on course of the Green Deal. We stay on course of our climate commitments, and we believe that climate change happens, and the rights to repair directive is one part of that, one element. And this dates back to 2024 when the EU basically adopted directive on common rules promoting the repair of goods and the right to repair directive. We also have, interestingly, of course, we have a new commission, but we have the first time a commissioner. That's our Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, who is also in charge of a competitive circular economy, and this appears even in her title. That's Jessica Roswall, our Swedish commissioner. And in our pipeline, we have most likely for 26, it can move to 27, a Circular Economy Act in our pipeline. So that's for Europe, but of course we look also into global investments. The world will not change much, or climate change won't stop, environment degradation won't stop. If Europe will be fine, we want to partner with countries in the world. So that's refers to our Global Gateway investment package, where we are active, and we have to do more and more. I think we have to think more and more circular. And you might have seen in February, under the European Green Deal, the Commission launched a new act, basically the Clean Industrialization pact, basically, or deal, clean industrialization deal. So now an overview of the Right to Repair Directive. Of course, it contains elements which speak to reusing. My name is reusing, recycling, and repairing. So that's entailed, and the main elements we find in this directive is an obligation to repair, a European online platform for repair. Then we have an extension of legal guarantee after repair. We have national measures to promoting the repair, and we have a European repair information form, which will also be available. I'm just giving you really the highlights because you can read everything in detail in the article. Key provisions, which are in the Rights to Repair Directive. So it establishes clear obligations for manufacturers and rights for consumers, including manufacturers' responsibility, which means they have to ensure that spare parts and repair information are available for a minimum period beyond a product's warranty. Secondly, consumer rights. There should be a greater transparency regarding repair options, including standardized labeling on product repairability. Third one is a scope and limitation. So initially, the Act covers household appliances, electronics, and ICT products with potential future expansion to other sectors. So we have to start slow, you know, from plastics. We heard a few presentations on plastic. We also started like that with our single-use plastic directive, and yeah, based on research, and you cannot change the world in one go. You have to do it step by step. That's important for consumers, also for the industry. Okay, so and the directive also expected to reduce premature product obsolescence. That's very important. That's what we see in many products nowadays, that they degrade, especially in the IT sector, and this should stop. But I'm very glad I'm since 2 years only a happy owner of a Fairphone, and you know who knows a Fairphone knows the modular phone, where you can really, first of all, the warranty is very long. It's 5 years, I think. The upgrading is very long, for 8 years, and then it's a modular phone where you can change just parts, and which you don't have to throw away, and it doesn't degrade. So there's not this inbuilt obsolescence in the Fairphone, at least not to an extent you find it at other phones. Why did we do that? You know, this Right to Repair Act, of course, different groups, civil society, NGOs, they called for that. And we have statistics that 8 in 10 Europeans agree that manufacturers should be required to make it easier to repair digital devices, for example. Yeah? So, okay. I talked already about the alignment with the Clean Industrial Deal. That's our new, basically, strategy policy under the Green Deal. And of course, the right to repair is one element only in that. There's also waste reduction, that's part of it, energy efficiency, sustainable industrial practices, and of course, we also talk about eco-design and bioeconomy. Now, let me come briefly to international partnerships and the Global Gateway Investment Package in this context. So the whole package was launched quite some time ago, 4 years roughly. It's 300 billion euro, and only part of it, a limited part, has been used. So it's still quite available. And the synergies with the Right to Repair Directive are, you know, we can, for example, through Global Gateway, we can globally in our partner countries improve the availability of spare parts by creating global supply networks for repairable components. We can promote standardization of repair-friendly designs across different markets. We can also facilitate knowledge exchange on repair technology and circular economy strategies. So it's also a lot about dialogue, it's about exchange, it's about joint ventures, which we can promote. And of course, here in Africa, I think, but many countries in the, I don't like this word, but I use it, in the global south, they do quite well in repair. Yeah, also here in Ethiopia, I'm living in Addis Ababa. You know, there's a whole market segment of the big market here, which is specialized in all kinds of repairs. So I think it's rather the so-called global north, which has developed a culture of throwing away too much and too often. And of course, this culture has been unfortunately transported to the global south, and we have to deal with it. On funding mechanisms for and implementation strategies. So of course, through Global Gateway, we can mobilize funds. We can finance repair-focused projects, including establishment of repair centers and in key global markets. We can develop training programs to build skilled workforce in sustainable product maintenance. We can also invest in startup companies and SMEs through matching grant funds, as well as financial instruments to entail loans, and guarantee facilities. Of course, when I talk about financial instruments, we need the banks on board, starting with the big ones, the European Investment Bank, but also the national European development financing institutions, but also the other ones. This is the Asian Development Bank, it's the African Development Bank. They have to be on board, and then it comes to the national banks, which have to believe in that. And I've been working for a long time in Asian and in African countries, even longer. The appetite to take risks and to support young startups is, in Africa at least, it's very, very low still. And one really has to find ways. And of course, it links also to the bigger picture of the global financial framework discussions to make that more, to raise more appetite for risk taking and for lending to young startups which want to have a different world, a cleaner world, a more circular world, a greener and more digital world also. So a lot to do for the future. I think there's a lot of space for partnership. Once again, I end where I started. We are not abandoning the ship. We are a responsible partner in the world. We believe in global trade. We believe in fair trade. We believe in more sustainable trade. And of course, the Rights to Repair Act and circular economy as a whole is, of course, a very, very important component in this context. Thank you, Surabhi. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Matthias, for your words. And definitely we look up to Europe. Given the conditions we are in right now, the geopolitical conditions, Europe is definitely committed, to the climate commitments, or the European Green Deal definitely talks about a lot that can be still done here in this part of the world also. And anybody who wants to know more about the Right to Repair Directive, we had a detailed discussion some time back through a webinar, and Matthias was also a part of it. It is there on our YouTube channel. You can go to our YouTube channel and look for Right to Repair Directive. It was a detailed discussion where the manufacturers were there. Matthias, being a policy maker partner, was there. So we had different perspectives. If you want to know more about this directive, you can definitely go back to our YouTube channel and have a look at the webinar also. So thanks.
May I just add one sentence, Surabhi? One sentence, important one, because the Indian audience is very big in this context, and that's also your main audience. The very first trip of President Ursula von der Leyen of the European Commission, in her first term, it was to Africa. It was to Addis Ababa with all her commissioners. This time, her first trip was to India. And I think this sent out a signal. It was in February, or was it March? I'm not even fully remembering. I think it was in March. But that was her first international trip outside Europe. She went to India with most commissioners of her new cabinet. That's a strong signal, I think, that we want to join hands much stronger and that we believe in this partnership.
That's great. I think wonderful. That's we are looking for good partnerships with Europe. Definitely, India is definitely looking up to it. And thanks for your contribution, Matthias, to this. Now we will be moving on to our next author. She is the youngest author of all in this edition. Ms. Yukta Vashisht, she is a student of economics honors at OP Jindal Global University. She has worked during her internship with the cement industries, with the cement organization on supply chain optimization of raw material from integrated units to the grinding units in cement industry. And she has offered a strategic approach to supply chain optimization in this industry using the linear programming. So Yukta, we are looking forward to hearing from you, please.
Hello, everyone. Firstly, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Surbhi ma'am and the ICC organization for selecting my research paper for the publication. To have my work recognized on a platform like this, especially as a student researcher, is an incredibly fulfilling milestone. It has not only affirmed my passion for research, but has also inspired me to pursue this path seriously and confidently. This paper began with a simple yet pressuring question that why is the transportation of clinker in the Indian cement industry still so inefficient and costly even today's data-driven world? As I began,
Yukta, your voice is breaking. Can you please check? Your voice is not clear. It's breaking in between. I think it's the same with everyone. Yeah. So please, Yukta, please check your connection.
There is a problem with the breaking voice.
Yeah.
Is it better now?
I mean, it's better. Maybe
you continue. Let us see.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, Yukta, you can go ahead.
There is some signal issues
She really seems to be having problem.
Yeah, I think so.
Now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Yukta, are you there? Are you there, Yukta? She seems to be getting lost. Okay. By the time Yukta comes back, can I move on to the next author? Mr. Mahesh Kasture, we'll take her once she has got her signals back. In the meantime, let's hear to our next author, Mr. Mahesh Kasture, and he has shared a strong perspective on end-of-life based plastic and the pathways for a circular future. Mr. Mahesh is the Chief Manager, Research and Development, Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited. Sir, over to you. Are you there? Mr. Kasture? Okay. I think there is... Yukta, are you there? Can you hear me?
Ma'am, am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
You are.
Yeah.
Ma'am, can I speak without switching my camera on? I think that's the issue.
Please, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
If the signals are not working with the video, we are okay. Sure.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So firstly, I would like to express my gratitude to the ICC organization and Surbhi ma'am for selecting my research paper for the publication. To have my work recognized on this platform, especially as a student researcher, is an incredibly fulfilling milestone. It has not only affirmed my passion for research, but has also inspired me to pursue this path more seriously and confidently. So basically, this paper began with a simple yet pressuring question that why is the transportation of clinker in the Indian cement industry still so inefficient and costly even in today's data-driven world? As I began exploring the issue, I became clear that what just a logistical challenge is actually a deeply layered problem, one that affects cost structures, environmental impact, operational efficiency, and even the future scalability of the industry. That's where the idea of using linear programming came in as a way to precision, structure, and optimization into a system that is often managed by intuition or habit. Clinker, as many of you may already know, is the intermediate material used to produce cement. In India, clinker is typically produced at integrated units located near limestone deposits and then transported, sometimes hundreds of kilometers, to the grinding units, where it is processed into cement. This movement is for sure vital, but it's expensive and often inefficient. Decisions about which IU supplies which GU are often made based on experience or preset contracts, but not necessarily on what's cost optimal in the real time. In an industry with such slim margin, this inefficiency creates enormous hidden costs and environmental harm. This led me to the core objective of my research, that is, to develop a linear programming model that could optimize the movement of clinker from integrated units to the grinding units in a way that minimizes transportation cost while ensuring that supply constraints and demand requirements are met. To do this, I first gathered data. I interviewed industry professionals to understand the practical logistic challenges they face and collect real world distance and freight cost data from the Indian Railways Freight Operations Information System. I basically selected 6 integrated units located in Chhattisgarh and Uttar Pradesh and 10 grinding units across eastern Indian states like West Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, and Jharkhand. The model I created defined the quantity of clinker transportation from each IU to each GU as a decision variable. The objective function was to minimize the transportation cost, and the constraints made sure that no IU sent more clinker than it could produce, and that each GU received exactly what it needed, no more and no less. Using Excel Solver, I was able to solve this problem and generate an optimized allocation plan. The results were not just impressive, they were insightful as well. According to the model, the total clinker demand was about 7.92 lakh tons and the available supply was around 8.97 lakh tons. The optimal transportation cost came out to be rupees 46.1 crore, or approximately we can say rupees 582 rupees per ton. But what stood out were the specific location patterns it revealed. For example, Ravan, that was one of the IUs, which was also one of the largest producers, still had over 1 lakh tons of unused clinker after the optimal location were made. In contrast, Jharsuguda, one of the GUs, received the highest volume, around 1.5 lakh tons. Some GU routes weren't used at all because their transport costs outweighed the benefit. But the real strength of the model lies in its flexibility. I conducted a sensitivity analysis to determine how changes in freight costs or supply availability could affect the optimal solution. I examined shadow prices, reduced costs, and allowable increases and decreases for every variable and constraints. For example, the model showed that the cost from Ravan to Jharsuguda could drop by rupees 296 without impacting the allocation, but any increase could make the route non-optimal. I also studied limiting conditions, that was how much clinker could be shifted between any 2 points before the total cost began rising again. This kind of analysis equipment logistic teams with foresight, allowing them to plan not just reactively but proactively in a dynamic market. What I found was that linear programming is just not an academic exercise. It's in fact a real world tool that can bring about measurable savings, smarter decisions, and better environmental outcomes. The model I developed is scalable, adaptable, and capable of being updated in real time with new data. It can even be extended to incorporate alternative materials like fly ash, which many grinding units are now using to reduce their carbon footprint and clinker dependency. And also, based on all these insights, I would like to mention a few recommendations to government, to cement companies, and to academic institutions and researchers. For the government, I recommend supporting industries like cement by improving access to real time freight data and encouraging the adoption of mathematical optimizations through infrastructure digitalization and policy incentives. Green logistics should not just be an option, it should be a nation standard. To the companies, I would say that moving away from manual route planning toward optimization based approach, linear programming models like the one I have developed can reduce operational costs significantly while also making supply chain more sustainable and useful. Finally, to the academic institutions and researchers, I would rather say explore the edges where disciplines meet. This research stood at the intersection of economics, logistics, and operation research, and also the environmental sustainability. And I believe that's exactly where some of the most impactful ideas are born. Finally, to the public and society, I would like to say that better cement supply chains mean cheaper infrastructure, fewer emissions, and a more sustainable planet. These are not just abstract benefits, they shape the roads we drive on, the homes we live in, and the future that we build. This research has been an immensely rewarding journey, not just intellectually but emotionally as well, as it has taught me the value of persistence, structure, and curiosity. And being recognized for this work has given me the kind of encouragement every young researcher hopes for. I am deeply grateful. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope this has sparked your interest in reading the full paper as well. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Yukta. I think you very well defined your work, how your linear programming can optimize the supply chain. So thanks a lot for your time. And now we are actually running out of time. So I will now invite Professor Chari. I'm not sure if Mr. Kasture is here, but now Professor Chari, he is the chairperson at Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship Development, CIED, at Birla Institute of Management Technology. And he has written on creating frameworks for implementing circular economy projects. So over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Surabhi. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And when Surabhi was introducing Yukta, she used some word. Here we have the youngest of the speakers. And then I was surprised when Yukta's name came. I thought she was referring me. Okay. Well, here I am, a young 78-year-old guy with you, friends. See, I have lived my life in the so-called Kachra. Okay, and I had developed a passion for working in that area of waste because it so happens that in my dictionary there is no word called waste in the first place. I don't know what that is. Then second part is when I go to as my engineering background, we used to read the laws of thermodynamics, and they says one of the first laws is energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It only changes form. That's what the law of thermodynamics says. And over a period of time, while interacting with a wide range of our spectrum of industries, I started developing perhaps my own law, and I say that material or element can neither be created nor be destroyed, it only changes form. And how this is that when we say the conventional way of waste, I started looking back, where from it has come in the first place. So any waste developed in any process is a result of the processes we adopted, and it is the same raw material that I used a minute before, did something with that, some operation, and whatever left over, which I don't know what it is, so I call it waste. But it is in just another form. If it was iron earlier, now maybe it is iron oxide. Okay. It was carbon and oxygen first, then it is now carbon dioxide, perhaps. But the element still stays there all the time. And this being that I started looking back into, whether, why don't we look at our waste as a resource instead of calling it a waste? Because it has come out of my raw material, precious raw material that I use, for which I have paid through my nose. Okay. And while talking to people, talking about the environment, about the cops, 29 of them gone and perhaps 30th is to come or over, I don't know. I find that, 30 years later also we are perhaps either in the same position environmentally or perhaps a little worse. I don't know what is happening to the world. But I keep talking to people across the world, across the states. I can bet that, you talk to 100 people and maybe more than 95 of them, they have not even heard about so-called, global warming, climate change, environment, or COPs or UNFCCC, nothing. There. So awareness is not there. It's only very few people who are working in that area and who are coming up with those. Now, I have a very myopic view, you can call, because I always believed in showing than, like talking or spreading. And why this happened is because seeing is believing. And when I say that my waste can be perhaps converted into a value-added product, people don't believe normally. I talk about environment, about economics, global warming, whatever. People have been telling me, Mr. Chari, you better go and talk this in the Parliament of India, in Delhi. Don't talk to us like that. Because the world across, having moved more than 25 different countries, I come to one conclusion that industry by large, any generator of any waste, by and large, he doesn't understand any language. No Spanish, no English, no Telugu, no Hindi, nothing, no Japanese. The only understandable language to these people is money. Unless I can convert what I'm talking in terms of money, it becomes very difficult to convince them. So that is why I embarked on to showing. Okay? And people keep asking, what is in it for me if I do it? There's a very simple question. They say, okay, policies apart. Do I get anything if I do this? So there we started. And having spent my lifetime in value analysis and value engineering, I always said there was a function to be performed, and I was looking for a material that can perform that function. Now, once I got into the circular economy zone, the whole thing, turned upside down. Here, I have a material, and unless I know what it is, I will not be able to find an application for that. So there was a need for characterization of the waste. The first requirement, if we want to do something about any waste, is characterization. First analyze physical, chemical analysis, biological analysis, everything, just to know what is in it. It may have chemicals, it may have something, some strength, some physical strength, magnetic, anything it could be. Once I know what is available, then all my engineering knowledge or my social knowledge tells me, oh, if this is what is available to me, these are the things I can do. Fine. Then it started. So then the second question was, 2, 3 of my speaker friends have touched on that, about the logistics part, collection of this waste. See, there are two kinds. Most of our waste is very thinly distributed across a large geography. And collection, assimilation, aggregation of that is a real challenge. So I started working, instead of talking about thinly distributed waste across, why not we start concentrating on those areas where waste in large quantity is captively available. Okay, so that it becomes economically viable for me. Then I said, look, so I've been working on privately areas where millions of tons of such waste is generated. I'm not never concentrating on 1 ton here, 2 tons there, 3 tons there. Okay, when I started in one of the cases, you start the whole, I'm talking about the, framework for it. See, ultimately, it has to be economically viable proposition. Okay. So you start working, you take up a waste, like go through the characterization, find out physical, chemical analysis report. Then once I know what is there, I start thinking about it, what all I can do with this. So you come up with some idea here in the brain. Now it has to be, so you have to sit and make a product that you are having in mind, whether it can be made or not. So you start making some sample. So you see the steps in which the whole thing goes, that is most important. Now, I develop something, I show it to people. This is what can be done with this waste. It is so unnecessary, it's very small, yeah. Can't we make bigger one? I say, okay, you give me more material, I'll make bigger one. Done. The product is made larger. Next curiosity, will it be strong enough? Now I say, get it tested. Simple. There are testing laboratories. Okay. So he said, but so they contact the testing laboratory. Testing lab asks me 4,000 rupees per test report. And I need sample of at least 25. You're talking about a lakh of rupees. Neither they have nor I have. So I start using my own engineering knowledge. I have studied everything. I go to a college, I test it as per the BIS standards, get the report, and suddenly it comes out, oh my, this product is 40% better in strength than what we are normally using. By paying money, this is coming out of waste. He says, okay, Mr. Test reports, fine. You develop the product. The next one, once you develop, can I sell it? Will it be economically viable? So I said, now is the stage, you have to get a DPR for this, detailed project report, techno-economic feasibility report. So you contact a consultant, and the consultant comes. He has something like 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs kind of rupees for making a DPR. I say, 1 lakh रुपए ही नहीं था मेरे पास. Now where do I get 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs? So because I've been into consulting all my life, so I said, okay, I'll make it for you free. You make. Suddenly it works out. Just, in this particular case, I will narrate. I would like to know whether Mr. Mukesh Gulati ji is here. I saw his name. Mukesh sir, are you here? Hello? Mukesh ji? Okay, I'll tell. Now, this all started
So
when I was
we
running.
are time
No,
is
no,
a constraint.
I know. Okay.
Yeah.
So this, I'm just saying, the process which then you say, okay, this is the technology for this. And this is how it can be made. This is what is the market price for this. You invest so much, your cost of production is so much, volumes are so much. This is what you get. And immediately one of them comes forward because now he's seeing money in his waste. Okay. And this one single exercise that was done in 2011, the European Union went through that and they accorded 3 million euros grant for multiplying this or replicating this across India in all the places wherever this waste is generated. Just because you are seeing application. Okay. Now, this was I'll quickly give examples like bulk model. You talk about the marble dust of Rajasthan, a real problem area. And when you talk to these people, what is this? It is waste, sir. So why waste? No, we cut rocks and we need slabs, marble slabs. In the cutting process, this comes and mountains are there. I said, why do you call it a waste? They say it is a waste. I said, no, it is the same marble in a powder form. Okay, you needed solid blocks and it's in a powder form. Now, can't our engineering be applied and used to convert this powder into a solid? Through this. And now I'm very happy to share that in the about 8 years time period, many industries have come up on that concept now. So there is a possibility, and my paper deals with that. All I'm saying about the framework is, whenever we are doing something, one got to be either lucky like me or the government should create a product. How do I develop a prototype? Developing a prototype costs me money. And an entrepreneur can't do that. He doesn't have that kind of money. Now, can't my IITs or the CSIR labs, which are government funded, public funded, I guess, can't they spare 1% of their total capacity labs for doing this good work? Okay, I'll make the prototype for you. Okay, so the framework, the whole paper is there for you to read. And any questions around, friends, I'll be far too happy to share with you. Okay, and
Thank you.
thanks, Urvi, for thinking about me.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Yeah, I think we have gone beyond time here. So, but everybody's presentation, everybody's insights have definitely contributed impactfully to the journal. And I'm sure everybody who has attended and listened to all the presentations and insights have definitely learned something today. And thank you all for your time and effort. And I once again thanks to all the brilliant contributions. Your work is not only expanding academic and policy conversations, but actively inspiring change on the ground. And to our attendees also, those have been, attending our other webinars and are here also today. Thank you for your time, your engagement, and your commitment to learning and sharing. We hope today's session gave you new insights, ideas, and inspiration. Let's stay connected, keep learning, and keep building a circular future. And everybody have a very great weekend, being a Easter weekend. Happy Good Friday to all of you. Enjoy your weekend. Have a good holiday. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your time today. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sylvie.
Thank you. Very interesting.
Thank you. Bye-bye.